Hey guys, it's me, the Bear Quilter. All right, welcome back to the sewing room. So today I was doing a live over on TikTok and somebody asked a question about binding and how I would bind or what size binding I would use for a wall hanging. And there's no wrong answer to this. So usually I just go based off of the project, but one of the things that I mentioned was that oftentimes I will face a wall hanging as opposed to binding a wall hanging because it allows me to also add little hanging tabs at the same time that I'm doing stuff. So that seemed to be a new concept for some people, and I did a real quick demo while I was on live, but I wanted to go ahead and do a much more in-depth demo so that we could talk about it. And yeah, come on, I'll show you how to do it. So facing your quilt or wall hanging means essentially that you are going to turn the face of this quilt, the raw edge of this, to the back so that you don't have any raw edges and you not seeing any binding going around. So I've gone ahead and prepared a little demo quilt sandwich and squared that all up. And then also you need some facing strips. So these are just like binding strips. I've prepared a 2.5 inch strip and I have ironed it so that there's a raw edge here and a finished edge there. And you can do this, like if you wanted to do continuous, you could do it continuous. If you have a large quilt, you can do that. But you want this strip to be about 2 to 2.5 inches shorter than the side of the quilt that it's going to go on. And so I've prepared, for my little demo, I've prepared 4 of these strips, just like that. We'll set those to the side. Now I also cut out 4 4.5 inch squares, and I've pressed those into triangles. So we have 4 of these triangles here. And that's everything that we need for the facing. Okay. So what we're gonna do is take our triangles and we're gonna put those in the corners here, just like this. And that's where those will go. And then we're gonna take one of our strips and we're gonna put it so that the raw edge is to the raw edge. And we're gonna go, just about halfway into that triangle on that side, and we'll go about halfway into that triangle on this side. And whatever's left, we're just gonna snip off, just like that. And I am going to take some pins. You can use pins, you can use clips, you don't have to use any of it. I'm gonna take some pins and just secure the ends here, just like that. And then we'll take this over to the sewing machine and we'll sew it at a 1/4 inch. We'll sew this at a 1/4 inch from here to there. All right, once we have that side sewn, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the side. About halfway up the triangle there for that one. And I'll pin it. And we'll cut this at about halfway up the triangle there. And we're going to pin it. We'll pin it, and then we'll sew at the 1/4 inch. We're gonna do this all the way around, just like. So I don't know where the audio in this section went, so I'm going to do a voiceover here. So what we're doing now is I am just going to take the 2.5 inch strips that we sewed to the edge, and I'm going to press them off out to the side using my Panasonic cordless iron. And once those are pressed over to the side, I will flip this over and we'll start turning the facing out to the back side of this quilt sandwich. Now that it is pressed out, I'm gonna flip it over, and I press each of the strips over so that the facing is fully pressed over. And then I'm going to surprise you a little bit here. And I'm going to grab one of my school glue sticks, and I'm going to glue the facing down using that. This is a very temporary solution. What this does is it allows me to hold that back facing in place while I am doing everything else, so that I can then hand stitch the facing down afterwards. So now that we've pressed these over to the side now, and I like to use the glue to keep this down, but now we're gonna hand sew all the way around. We're just gonna hand tack this down in place, and I'm going to give these corners just ever so slightly a little trim, so that we don't wanna go into the seam, but we do wanna cut off the corner just a little bit, because this will help us to turn those out and have some crisp or more crisp corners. So I would go through and I would hand tack all of this down, and then I would turn out these corners. Ooh, and I'm going to use my little 4-in-1 multi-tool here that has a little corner turner, and we're going to just poke those corners out just like that. Pokety poke. All right, and there we have it. One faced quilt or wall hanging. If you have a little rod, you can put the rod right in this pocket and it will hang just like that. All right, I hope this helped or at least explained what a facing was, and I hope you give it a try. It works really, really well for wall hangings, and it works really well for things that you want to have a more modern look to. All right, thanks so much for joining me in my quilt room.